Let's begin with something fundamental, because if you don't understand this, the rest of the conversation won't fully land. Phenylalanine is what we call an essential amino acid. Essential doesn't mean optional or trendy. It means your body cannot manufacture it. If you don't consume it, you simply do not have it. And that matters because phenylalanine sits at the very beginning of a biological chain reaction that shapes how you think, how you feel, and how you engage with the world. Inside your body, phenylalanine is converted into tyrosine. Tyrosine then becomes the raw material for dopamine, norepinephrine, and epinephrine, neurotransmitters that regulate motivation, focus, alertness, and even your capacity to pursue meaningful goals. Dopamine, in particular, is deeply tied to the experience of reward and forward movement. It's the chemical that surges when you set a goal and take a step toward it. Without adequate building blocks, that system doesn't operate optimally. Now think about that for a moment. We often talk about discipline, ambition, drive, as if they are purely moral virtues or personality traits. But underneath those abstract qualities is biology. If you chronically deprive your body of essential amino acids, you may be unintentionally undermining the very neurological systems that allow you to feel energized and purposeful. Nutrition is not just about muscles and metabolism. It is about the architecture of your mind. This doesn't mean phenylalanine is a magic solution to all psychological struggles. Human beings are more complex than that. But it does mean that the food you consume literally participates in the creation of your internal world. Your clarity of thought, your resilience under stress, your capacity to concentrate, these are not detached from what's on your plate. They are connected, profoundly and biologically. And here's the deeper philosophical point. Responsibility begins at the smallest level. Before you attempt to master your schedule, your career, or your relationships, you must first ensure that the foundational elements of your physiology are supported. Order at the molecular level contributes to order in the mind. So when we talk about foods rich in phenylalanine, we are not merely discussing nutrition charts. We are discussing the raw materials of motivation itself. And if you want to build a strong, focused, disciplined life, start by respecting the biology that makes such a life possible. Now, once you understand that phenylalanine is a foundational building block for the very chemistry of motivation and focus, the next logical question becomes practical. Where do you actually find it? And this is where things become refreshingly straightforward. The foods highest in phenylalanine are not obscure powders or exotic imports. They are the foods human beings have relied on for generations to build strength, repair tissue, and sustain mental clarity. Lean meats, chicken, turkey, beef, are dense sources of complete protein, meaning they contain all essential amino acids, including phenylalanine. Fish, particularly varieties like salmon and tuna, offer not only phenylalanine but also omega-3 fatty acids that support brain health in parallel. Eggs are another remarkable example. An egg is, biologically speaking, a complete life support system. It contains everything required to build a living organism, and that includes the amino acids necessary for cognitive vitality. Then you have dairy products, milk, yogurt, cheese, which provide highly bioavailable protein. For those who prefer plant-based options, soy products like tofu and tempeh are exceptionally rich in phenylalanine. Lentils, chickpeas, almonds, pumpkin seeds. These are not merely snacks, they are molecular resources. They are raw materials that your body uses to construct enzymes, neurotransmitters, muscle fibers, immune cells. Here's the critical insight. These foods are whole, structured, and nutritionally dense. They require preparation. They demand a degree of intentionality. You cannot build a stable internal chemistry on a diet dominated by ultra-processed convenience foods that are engineered for taste but stripped of structural integrity. The modern environment tempts you toward ease, but biology still responds to substance. There is something deeply philosophical about this. The same principle that governs psychological development applies to nutrition. You must choose what is nourishing over what is merely gratifying. Short-term pleasure rarely builds long-term strength. Protein-rich, phenylalanine-containing foods may not always provide the immediate dopamine spike of processed sugar, but paradoxically, they support the very neurological systems that allow sustainable motivation. So when you select foods rich in phenylalanine, you are doing more than optimizing a nutrient profile. You are practicing disciplined self-respect. You are choosing structure over chaos, substance over impulse. And that small daily decision, repeated consistently, becomes the foundation of both physical vitality and mental resilience. The question, then, is simple. Will you eat in a way that merely satisfies you today, or in a way that strengthens who you will become tomorrow? Now, as with anything powerful, phenylalanine demands respect. We've talked about its role in building neurotransmitters, in supporting motivation and cognitive clarity, and we've explored the foods that provide it abundantly. But here's where maturity enters the discussion. What strengthens most people can pose real danger to a few. And wisdom lies in understanding that distinction. There is a rare genetic condition known as phenylketonuria, or PKU. Individuals born with this condition lack the enzyme necessary to properly metabolize phenylalanine. When phenylalanine accumulates in the body at high levels, it can become toxic, particularly to the brain. For those individuals, careful dietary regulation isn't optional, it's essential for protecting cognitive development and long-term neurological health. Now pause and think about the broader lesson embedded in that reality. Biology is deeply individual. The modern world often pushes universal solutions. One diet, one trend, one perfect nutritional philosophy. But the truth is more complex. The human organism is not a generic machine. It is a finely tuned system shaped by genetics, environment, and history. What serves one person beautifully may require adjustment, or even restriction, for another. That doesn't undermine the value of phenylalanine-rich foods. For the overwhelming majority of people, these foods are not only safe but necessary for healthy neurotransmitter production and protein synthesis. However, it does remind us that responsibility means awareness. If you or someone in your family has a metabolic disorder, consultation with qualified healthcare professionals is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of intelligence. It's the willingness to align action with accurate knowledge. And there's something philosophically profound about that. True strength is not blind enthusiasm. It's disciplined discernment. It's understanding that power, whether